Chapter 10. What do I need to know about going to court for the first time? Now listen, your first court date is called a first appearance, and this is the first time you will appear in court for your driving without insurance charge. Now, when you were charged with driving without insurance, the police gave you a summons. It has your court details for your first appearance, and these details include the date, the time, the court where you need to appear. Due to COVID-19, many court dates will not be in person. If that's the case, the court will inform you on how to virtually attend your court date. Now, here's a list of most of the courts which handle driving without insurance charges. It's a mouthful. I'm going to list them all off. May help you. Barrie, Belleville, Bracebridge, Brampton, Brockville, Leeds, Caledon, Cayuga, Chatham-Kent, Cobourg, Northumberland, Cochrane, Cornwall, Dundas and Glengarry, Durham, Dryden, Elliott Lake, Fort Francis, Godric, Guelph, Halton region such as Burlington, Halton Hills, Milton, Oakville, Hamilton, Kenora, Kingston, Kitchener, Cambridge, Waterloo, Kawartha Lakes, London, Mississauga, Napanee, Lennox and Addington, Newmarket, North Bay, Orangeville, Orillia, Ottawa, Owen Sound, Parry Sound, Pembroke, Renfrew, Perth, Peterborough, Picton, Prince Edward County, Richmond Hill, Sarnia, Sault Ste. Marie, St. Catharines, Stratford, Perth, Sudbury, Thunder Bay, Timmins, Toronto East, Toronto South, Toronto West, Welland, Windsor, Woodstock. You can get a full list of the addresses for all of those courts at ontario.ca. Now, what is going to happen at my first appearance in court? Here's what's going to happen for your first appearance for your driving without insurance charge. First thing is you're going to meet the prosecutor and you're going to get your evidence. You're going to meet with them, and the prosecutor is going to give you what's called disclosure, which is all the evidence put into a package. Your meeting with the prosecutor may be very brief because you are simply checking in to let the court know that you're there. In some cases, there may be time to speak with the prosecutor about your case, in some cases not. So whether there's time or not to speak about your case is the decision of the prosecutor. After meeting with the prosecutor, you have three options to consider for your next step. Let's look at option one. You can enter a guilty plea. The case will end that day, and most of the time the penalties, example, fines, demerit points, driving suspension, will actually start on that day. Option number two, you can set a trial date. You can fight the driving without insurance charge, and you can set a trial date in the future. Or option three, you can get a delay or adjournment, which is usually 3 to 6 weeks, and you can get legal advice. There is no downside to asking for this delay, and it's important to understand the charge you're facing, the evidence the court has against you, and the penalties that you face. Take the time to make an informed decision. Lastly, a new court date will be set. Assuming you did not enter a guilty plea, you will appear before the Justice of Peace and a new court date will be set. That new court date will either be to give you time to get legal advice, or you will have to set a trial date. In either case, it's important to get the proper legal advice to make an informed decision. So, what is the difference between disclosure and evidence? Practically, they're the same thing. Evidence are the facts upon which the prosecution will use to try to prove the driving without insurance charges against you. And disclosure, it is the actual package of evidence that will be given to you at your first appearance. Disclosure typically includes a synopsis of the police summary of the case against you, the police officer's notes, witness statements, and something called a screening form, which has an offer for resolution. So why is disclosure so important in my driving without insurance case? Well, the answer is simple, because the penalties for driving without insurance are so serious, which you can read in other chapters, and our legal system is designed to give you everything you need to properly defend yourself. The only way to properly defend yourself is to get all the evidence that the province has against you, and once you get that evidence, you can then have a clearer picture of the strengths and the weaknesses of the case against you. And you can then make an informed decision on how you want to proceed with your case. And if you decide to fight the charges, you can then put together a proper strategy to fight these charges, because you now have all of the evidence. And the only way to guarantee that you get all your evidence is to force you to go to that first court appearance. So why is there a delay after getting charged with the driving without insurance and my first court date? It's a good question. The first appearance dates are usually scheduled 4 to 6 weeks after the police charge you. This time delay allows the police to properly gather all of their evidence and notes to be included in your disclosure package. Can I get all the evidence against me? Yes, you can. You are legally entitled to get all of the evidence that the court has against you. Getting all your evidence is not a choice of the prosecutor or the court. The court must give you all of the evidence, and if you do not get all of the evidence, it may be possible to get the charges against you withdrawn. Now, Will all the evidence be ready at my first appearance? Maybe. Occasionally, the evidence against you may be ready by the time you arrive at your first appearance, and sometimes not. In this case, the court will set another court date to give the court and the prosecutor more time to gather this evidence. However, if after a few court dates you still don't have all of your disclosure, the Justice of the Peace may dismiss the charges against you. Now, when I get my disclosure, is that all the evidence? Not necessarily, and this is a very important point to know. Even when you get your disclosure, that does not mean that you have all the evidence against you. In fact, your disclosure package may be missing some key evidence. If you suspect that there is missing evidence, you can ask the court and the prosecutor for that additional evidence. Getting all the evidence is critical for you to be able to make an informed decision on how you want to proceed. Now, will the police officer that charged me be at my first appearance in court? The answer is no. The police officer is not required to be at your first appearance. If your case goes to trial, then yes, the police officer that charged you will be called upon to give evidence that he or she has against you. Now, is this first appearance my trial date? No. Your first appearance is not a trial. It is the first time, as we've mentioned above, it is the first time you appear before the court for your driving without insurance charge. If you decide to go to trial, then your trial date will be set at some point in the future, and that date may be days or weeks or many months in the future, but your trial will not happen on your first appearance. Do I have to attend my first appearance date? Absolutely, but if you've hired a lawyer, then no, you do not need to attend your first appearance because your lawyer will attend on your behalf. If you have not hired a lawyer, then yes, you will need to attend your first appearance date. Can I have someone who is not a licensed lawyer attend on my behalf? Maybe. For the first appearance, you may have someone attend on your behalf. However, you should give that person written permission that they are allowed to attend on your behalf and include the reason why you are not able to attend.